I built and sold an agency for millions at the age of 24 just last year. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down the exact funnel that we used to get to over $1.2 million with the agency specifically. And I'm going to give you the exact guide, the exact skills, the exact marketing, the exact ad scripts, literally everything. So watch this video, not going to waste time at all. Let me jump into the Miro. Okay, so first things first is obviously when you're deciding on your SMMA or you're scaling your SMMA, you need to have the right offer, you need to have the right industry, and you need to have the right pricing. And so what we decided on when getting started is we wanted to be super niche. Being niche is your superpower because everyone is offering everything to everyone. You want to be niche so that you can apply or be more appealing to a specific industry. They trust you more, you can charge more because you're seen as an expert, and overall you can just kind of build expertise there so it becomes plug and play to you. It's way easier. So what we decided on is email marketing. We had done social media marketing before, and email marketing was a high income skill, right? So high income skills, obviously I have a separate video about that, but essentially it's something that you can charge high ticket for, okay? So these are high ticket offers. So high ticket offers are essentially things that you can charge a ton of money for because they're very specific and you can prove there's an outcome to it. So not many people can do it, and if you do it, you have to be able to do it really well. Otherwise, you're going to fuck up a business. So that's why we do that. And so we chose email marketing as a core offer, and we did a done for you as opposed to a done with you. And that was just the easiest model at the time. Done with you wasn't something that appealed to me. So that was the skill that we chose. Then it comes down to the specific industry, right? So the niche that we picked was hemp. And the reason we picked that is because they cannot run ads. So we decided, well, email marketing makes the most sense because who can we offer email marketing to? We can offer it to people that cannot run ads or are not seeing much success with ads. And that comes down to the hemp industry. So that's why we wanted to focus in on that. Then came the pricing. The pricing we adjusted more and more over time. And for a while, we were sitting at about only 2K per month, but we still managed to hit 30K per month with ease, even at that price range. Then we switched it up to where we asked for a setup fee. This way we were offsetting the period of time that it took to get started and get that recurring revenue. This was intentional because we were applying ourselves as an authority figure. So what we wanted to come and do is we came in, we said, hey, we're going to set this up for you. You have access to absolutely everything, the account, the systems that we're building out, and you can keep it even after the relationship. That's why we did it this way. So this was the entire offer. Email marketing for hemp brands, and this was the pricing overall. Then it came down to building out the actual funnels. And first things first is, of course, the website. We didn't have a high quality website whatsoever. This is the website, super simple, straight to the point, doesn't look like this anymore after selling it. Obviously, the new owners changed it. But it was very simple. We said exactly who we were marketing to. Everything was color coordinated to the specific industry. So this kind of green color. So it was super green. Specifically has some cannabis leaves over here, and then we made a call to action very clear and simple. We said, hey, book a call. And then came the point of showing some testimonials, right? So super simple website. It was just easy. It acted like a landing page in case anyone searched us. But the real value was on this page, which I'll come to later on. Then after setting up the website, we need to set up our socials. We only set up socials where it mattered. So our clients and our customers were sitting on IG, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Those were the places that majority of them were. So we set up profiles on those specific places. And from there, what we did is obviously it matched the website, all the branding and everything. And now if someone clicked on this, what it did is it took them to a Calendly page, all right? So that Calendly page pretty much came down to here. And this was essentially the qualifying factor. We said exactly who we're accepting and who we're not accepting. We said who we work with and who we do not. And then over here, so important, what helped us with a ton of time was asking for their website, asking for their email. Reason we did this is because if they weren't qualified or if they didn't follow through with the call, then what we would do is we send them over a value audit. That always got us a ton of calls. But then the most important thing is asking how much revenue they're making right now. This qualifies your leads. And this qualified our leads so much that we could understand where majority of our leads were lying, who we needed to speak to in our calls, and also, well, more so in our ads, and also understanding when people booked this, we needed to cancel them. And then when people booked any of these, we needed to be aggressive with follow-ups. So that's how we kind of thought about it. Then aside from the socials, what we wanted is almost like a landing page for case studies and testimonials. So we built out a YouTube channel. Again, you can see we only had 302 subscribers, but the amount of times that people reached out to us because of these videos or because this is what popped up when they searched CanaScale was crazy. So obviously all of these videos just acted as testimonial to what we were and who we were. So we put a lot of our case studies here. So how to grow a company fast, how we grew this company, how we grew this company, how we made this company this. So we started to do a lot of case studies. And you can see again, it's pretty much only about, probably about like 12 different videos or 11 different videos. And with that, it got us so much authority in the industry because no one else was doing this. Then what we did is obviously we couldn't just rely on organic search. So what our main funnel for, and the reason why we made so much money is this. So it was our outreach funnel. So we did an outreach funnel, and these were our areas of expertise. We did cold emails, we did DM outreach, we did LinkedIn outreach, and we did ads. Ads only came much later. We got to our first $15,000 per month without any ads. We were only doing these two. We didn't even touch LinkedIn. So here are the outreach methods that you should be looking at and considering. Cold email, YouTube, Instagram DM, Instagram Reels, Facebook ads, LinkedIn outreach, PR, Upwork, cold videos, and referral. These were all the areas that we were looking at, but we decided against most of them and putting our attention on most of them and just focus on the ones that we wanted to pay attention to. Now, the way that we focus in on this is because when we are doing cold outreach, this is where we had the most success. It's not to say that nothing else worked, because it works great for other industries. But for our industry, this just worked the absolute best. So from that, we decided on the way that the funnel should look. And so obviously you get ads, and I want to come back to this. But then we did the cold email automation. Now this is great for you. You can use instantly.ai to do cold emails for you. That's what we used. We were sending about 2,000 to 3,000 per day. And then we used store leads to actually scrape that information alongside Snov. And we used D7 Lead Finder to also download some emails. And then our funnel pretty much looked like this. We wanted to send a cold email. Then in that cold email, we were not selling them on our services. Very important. We were selling them on our a free audit. So we were saying, hey, we know that you can't run ads, but so we were talking about the pain points straight away, saying, hey, John, we know that you can't run ads. I'm not going to try pitch you on anything. I know everyone's reaching out to you. Instead, I want to offer a free audit going over this, which should help you scale revenue without needing ads. Sound good? Question mark. Then more oftentimes than not, we would get a yes. From that, we would send a personalized video that was so valuable, they would be so stupid not to get on a call with us. And in that video, we soft sell the idea of getting on a call with us. Again, we're still not selling on our services. We're selling on the call. So first we sell on the audit, then we sell them on the call. And then on the call, we sell them on our services, but we've done so much nurturing until that point that they trust us and we will get payment on the call. So very, very simple. And although we had limited amount of leads doing it, no other people in the industry were really reaching out to our clients. So we found a blue ocean. Now, aside from that is the cold email automation kind of frequency. We set up about 5 different domains. So we had canascale.com, and then we had a .co, and then we had a .net, we had a .org, and then we had like a, so we had also like Cana-scale. So we bought so many different domains in this section. And with those domains, we would set up about 3 users under each domain. So we would have 3 different users under each one. So it would be Jayde@canascales.com, info@canascales.com, and then one of our team members' names. So Nick@canascales.com. And essentially what we would do is we would send out emails from every single one of them so it wouldn't damage our reputation. And that is how we were able to send out above 3,000. Then next up is the personalized outreach, right? So again, this is kind of the audit that I was talking about, or the funnel I was talking about. The personalized outreach, we made very personalized. So this was cold. This is when we had very little information about them. But then we duplicated this and we made it a personalized outreach process. So for example, we would scrape as much information as possible from LinkedIn. And on there, we got their company name, we got their first name, we got a few different tidbits about them, even to the point of how many employees they had in their company. And from there, we would send hyper-personalized emails. In these personalized emails, we'd say, hey, I know that you guys are running CBDFX, and at CBDFX, we saw that your best sellers are XYZ. You guys are killing it. But here's one thing. Notice that you guys can't run ads. You're facing a lot of restrictions. Here's where we come in. And so that's what we were kind of sending out to them. And again, we just led them through this process. And we would often then follow up with a personalized LinkedIn message. So this is if we had the owner as a connection, and we use my personal LinkedIn to just send out to connections and tons of people in the industry, so that they became more brand aware of us, number one. And number two, I could post content and also use my personal LinkedIn as an outreach method. And it worked phenomenally well because people became aware of us. So when we go back to the ad section, here's how we actually ran ads super well. So we ran ads straight to a landing page where they would book in a call. But the trick here is we used Instagram to our advantage massively. And here's how. You can see what our Instagram looks like and will look like. So you can see that we have about 6K followers, and we're also following about 6K. The interesting thing is most of the people that we follow is companies. Those are company profiles, and they're all within the industry. This was intentional. We were reaching out to them, and our intention was never to get a response from them. That was never the intention. What our strategy was, is we wanted to follow and interact. Then we would send them some DMs, and we would post testimonials on this page. So what's happening is they're, again, gaining awareness of us. But the second most important thing is when we call DM them or follow them, they either respond saying they're not interested, or they just kind of acknowledge our engagement, look at our profile, and leave. But what that created is this created an engaged audience segment that we could target on the ads. So when you create an IG 180 engage segment, right? So we created segments like that. And because we had so many people when we were reaching out with cold email, checking out our website, and so many people on Instagram going to our Instagram, engaging, and also visiting our websites over here, we could have a massive pool of people to retarget that made them a very, very qualified audience to target ads to. So the way that it looks is we set up an ad that looks like this. Again, we were just setting up an ad, leading them to a landing page, and then booking in a call. So this is what the ad looked like. Super simple. Eventually we changed it a little bit, but overall it looks the same. So we specifically called out their name. And the reason why this works so well specifically is because this specific industry is so niche, and you cannot really run ads that say hemp, but we managed to. So put us immediately as an authority figure because we could use this word, and we were also calling them out directly. We weren't saying wellness companies, we weren't saying supplement companies, we were saying hemp related brands. Watch this. And then we immediately call out a pain point in this headline as well, which is so important. So we immediately say, hey, this is how restricted brands are scaling without ads. This is something I would want to watch as a brand owner because I need to know this. So we immediately, again, within the first 5 seconds of calling out or of speaking, I say, if you're a hemp-related company making more than $10,000 and you can't run ads, I immediately call it out. Then in the actual text of the ad, keep in mind this ad was only about 52 seconds, and it was super quick saying, hey, if you want to figure out how we're doing what we're doing, book in a call. And so this was the headline of the actual ad saying, hey, hemp companies, again, just reiterating, if you're making more than 15K, if you're making more than 20K, scale now. And then super quick, short text. The intention of this was to mention exactly who we've worked with. We do the same in the video. So later on in the video, I say, hey, we're going to show you how we scale brands like the Hemp Doctor, like X, and like Y. So I'm using 3 different case study specific names that are big in the industry, and I'm calling them out. And then we're saying, hey, if you want to scale, book in a call now. So that was a super simple way of our targeting. And this is what our targeting actually looked like. So we said leads campaign. And so all of our things were lead campaigns, which was leading them to that landing page to book in a call, right? And so these were the interests that we were focusing on. The first segment was interest focused. Now this was people 21 to 50. Usually we would actually segment based on male because we found that a lot of hemp company owners were male. And then we targeted hemp interests. So we targeted people that liked Cheech and Chong. We targeted people that liked Zippo. So all those kind of audiences we targeted. Then we took all of those leads that we had scraped with our cold emailing, and we actually uploaded them into Facebook, and we created lookalike audiences. All right. So that's where this comes into place. Our next targeting segment was lookalike audiences. So this was a standalone, and it goes to the landing page. This then was focused on lookalike audiences. And then the third thing is we did retargeting. And this was specific to IG, right? So when all of our people or all of our outreach was getting people back to the Instagram page, whether they booked in a call, whether they even looked at our website, it didn't matter. What matters is they paid attention because we were retargeting them anyway. So if we didn't have their contact information from the lead scraping, and if Facebook wasn't doing its job, then at least we were with the retargeting. And these always outperformed as the best and cheapest ways for us to book calls. So from there, we lead them to a landing page. This is what the landing page looked like. It matched exactly what we were saying on the ads. So again, calling out exactly who we're targeting, we did this to qualify them. Then we specifically mentioned who we're speaking to over and over. So you can see this every single time. As soon as you land this page, okay, good, I'm in the right place because it's the same branding colors, it's the same mention. And then I specifically said, this is what we'll do. You know, these are some reasons to work with us. And then over here, I just show all of the brands that we've worked with. Super simple. And then book your call now. And on the call, just goes to that Calendly page. So that's essentially the funnel. This is how we were getting tons and tons of leads at super cheap and how we were being so targeted. And this scaled us very quickly because, again, very few people were doing this. We were so niche focused that it was almost impossible to say no. If someone is speaking to you about your pain point and speaking to you about your niche, why wouldn't you trust them and why wouldn't you want to pay them more? It's the same way that if you go to a doctor and it's just a simple GP, right? They're just going to take a look at your health. That's very different to what you would pay a surgeon because they have diagnosed your problem. It's very specialized and you trust them because especially you will trust them more if they only do back surgery. They're the #1 back surgeon in the world. So if you have a back problem, who do you think you're going to go to? You're not going to go to your GP, you're not going to go to anyone else. You're going to go to that specific back surgeon because your chances of success are way higher with someone who specializes in that thing and you're willing to pay the price for it. The same way that you don't want to pay for a generalized doctor is the same way you don't want to pay for someone who generally does ads or generally does email marketing. You want someone who understands your pain points and you want to know that you are paying them well to get the job done with a guarantee, essentially. So once we had this full funnel, it came down to building the team. And the team structure is very simple. And I can be a little bit more detailed about this in another video, but this should make a lot of sense to you, right? And the example that I've given is just general prices. So obviously prices will be very different and also your income from clients will be very different. So for example, let's just say that worst case scenario, you're getting paid by a client minimum of 2K, right? Which in a lot of people, that might be a lot. This should be the bare minimum that you make from one client. Even then, it's not really worth it. You should be charging upwards of 3K plus. But let's just say worst case scenario, you're just starting out and you want to scale. This is what your clusters should look like. So what this is you'll have one person. So this is your email marketer who's going to be managing at least 5 clients, right? 5 to 6 clients. This is the way that we set it up. So if you're running ads, if you're running email, whatever it is. And so this is the cost of that person that you're bringing on, at least initially. Obviously, this is way cheaper than what you would probably want to pay if you want someone really good. But let's just say that you're paying them $2,500. Now, you need to get at least 2 clients to break even. But the way that we thought about it is, okay, this person needs to be a hybrid role, right? So they need to be a hybrid email marketer. They need to be able to manage people. They need to be able to set everything up. They need to be able to do the copy and they need to be able to send it. But we want someone to actually do the design as well. So what we're saying is this is the capacity of how many clients one person can handle. And what we worked out is one email marketer can handle 5 clients, which means that for every $10,000 that we make, if you take into account that they'll only pay $2,000. So if each client pays you $2,000, you'll be making $10,000, right? And you only need one email marketer to manage that. That puts you at a profit of about $7,500. And that is a great place to be. So if you just take on 5 clients, you hire someone, you don't have to touch anything. You literally don't even have to pay attention to the company. You immediately make $7,500 profit month over month. And that is a simple, just like small company basis. Then if we think about it in a larger sense, let's just say you want to get to 30K. 30K, you know that you need about 3 different clusters. And with that, if you want to get to 30K, that means you'll be doing about $19,500 in profit, which is a great place to be in. That's a lot of money that you can do a lot with. You can start putting into other businesses, you can put more into ads, whatever it is. So essentially, one cluster will give you about 12 to 18K if you are charging more. So imagine if this was just 3K or 4K or whatever the case is. So you would want to raise to about 3K per month if you want to see better profit from the same amount of output. And that is so, so important. But this is how we structure our team. We had 3 email marketers essentially, and then we had 2 graphic designers, if you want to think about it that way. So 3 email marketers, 2 graphic designers, that's the team, all handling about 15 different clients, which is incredibly scalable. And at scale, you can keep scaling in that way without things breaking because everyone's managing their specific departments and their groupings. So you can call it a pod, you can call it a cluster, whatever you want to call it. But this is essentially how we broke down the team and how we were able to scale at such a lean rate with a ton of leads and also be able to sell the company. So hopefully that all makes sense, but this is exactly how we were able to scale to $1.2 million minimum as an agency and how you can as well.